How many games will the Buffalo Bills win in 2024? What's going on, the Bills Mafia and Bills fans? It's Emmanuel Jones back here with another record prediction. And this time we'll be doing our record prediction for the Buffalo Bills for a 2024 NFL season. Give you my thoughts and my game analysis. See how many games I think the Bills will win and how many games I think the Bills will lose. So I have a little question like, could the Bills overcome without Stephon Diggs? Now that's the question. Now don't forget to put thumbs up, like video, subscribe to my channel more often, and don't forget to comment down in the pane below to see what you guys think about the Bills. Do you think they're gonna make the playoffs without Diggs? Do you think they're gonna win the AFCs once again, or you think they're just gonna make the? Do you think they're gonna make the Super Bowl run, or you think they're gonna miss out on the playoffs? Just let me know in the comments down below what you think. So obviously, the Bills are going to be going a lot of changes because, they lost their defensive coordinator. They lost some pieces in free agency and stuff like that. So we're going to get started here. And, they traded Diggs away and all that. So we're going to get started here. So week 1, they got to play against the Arizona Cardinals. Basically, the Cardinals are kind of a tricky team because this is going to be a fun game to watch because Cardinals are kind of a tricky team. Like, they got weapons on offense. Like, they got like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. That's a good combo, especially along with Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. They also added Zay Jones too, and especially James Conner is a stud at running back. They have a really strong offensive line, but their defense is very sketchy. And the Bills, they don't got a lot of skill player on offense though, except for Dalton Kincaid and James Cook and Dawson Knox. But I think this game will be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a close game. It could be a high-scoring game. It could be a shootout type game, but I'm going to lean towards Buffalo to win because I think Buffalo's just a more complete team. They have the better quarterback, the better coaching staff. They're at home. They're the more complete team overall. And basically, I think they have a better defense. I think the defense can do a good job, like getting after Kyler, make life difficult on him, especially the pass rush, And I think their secondary can do a good job man up against the Cardinals' weapons they have on offense. So yeah, I think the Bills can move the ball against them, and especially the Cardinals don't have a great front seven. So I think they can run the ball on them, and especially especially the Cardinals secondary is weak. So who's their go-to guy going to be at wide receiver for the Bills? Is it going to be Coleman? Is it going to be Shakir, Samuel, Holland, Valdez Scantlin, or Chase Claypool? Like, who is their go-to guy? Like who is it? Like, I have a feeling that Josh Allen should be able to figure this out, especially against an atrocious secondary as the Cardinals. So I think the Bills easily win this game. Week 2, they got the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, this is a game that can definitely go either way. Now, I believe the Bills have swept them a few times. I feel like they can do this again, but I believe last season they swept them because that's when Miami, have beat the Bills. Because I think Miami, kind of played the Bills really well the last game of the season because, the Dolphins, kind of lost Vic Fangio's defense coordinator, but they could be doing learning curve with a new defense coordinator. Especially, they lost a few pieces on defense like Andrew Van Ginkel, Jerome Baker, Christian Wilkins. Like, they lost some pieces on the defense, but they also added Shaq Barrett, Jordan Brooks, and Anthony Walker to replace those guys, which I don't know if they're any good, but they still got some talent in the secondary like Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey. They also added Cam Fuller. Cam Smith can be a breakout candidate. Who knows? They also had Jordan Poyer. The offensive line is pretty strong. The receiving core is still the same. They added OBJ and Jonnu Smith. So basically, this game right here is going to be close. It could be competitive. I can see the Bills winning this game. Now, some people might lean towards the Bills because the Bills are the superior team. But I'm going to lean towards Miami to win this game because the game's in Miami. And Miami's kind of a tricky place to play at. Especially they play really well at home and all that. And it could be warm there in the evening. Who knows? And especially, Dolphins got more skill group on offense. I feel like they're just a little more explosive than the Bills. Like, I think the Dolphins can move the ball on the Bills. I think Tua can have time. And I think the defense, especially their secondary, can get sticky against an underwhelming receiving core. So I think the Dolphins win this game at home. Next game, they got week 3. They got to play the Jacksonville Jaguars on a Monday. They're gonna have 10 days to rest. They're coming off a Thursday game. They got to come back home and play against Jacksonville. I think the Bills, bounce back and win this game because the Bills are just a better team overall, better quarterback. This is at home overall as well. But if the game was in Jacksonville, I can lean Jacksonville. But it's in Buffalo though, and especially Jacksonville's kind of a sneaky good team. They got good weapons on offense. Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, and they also added Gabe Davis. He's playing against his former team. Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. Those are a lot of weapons. Offensive line is kind of okay. The defensive line did improve a little bit, especially in the secondary. They did. Maybe they can get the Bills issues. Because I remember last year this game was in London, and Jacksonville definitely played the Bills really well. They gave the Bills issues, and I believe it was pretty close though. But I think this game could be a shootout. But I think the Bills can move the ball in Jacksonville, and I think their defense can do a good job. Like defending Trevor Lawrence, giving them issues. They kind of have some underrated corners who can man up against the Jazz receivers. So yeah, I think the Bills, find a way to pull this one off. Next game, week 4, they got Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, this game is going to be a fun game to watch. Now, 2 years ago, I believe the Bills kind of played the Ravens really well, like over the past couple matchups. Now, the Bills, definitely did in the playoffs. When they play against the Ravens in the playoffs, they definitely blew them out when they shut down Lamar and that tired offense. And then the defense, I believe the Ravens did the same thing 2 years ago, where they kind of really won by a lot, and the Bills came back on them. So yeah, but you know what? I feel like if this game is in Buffalo, I can go with the Bills. But I think this game will be close. I think it will be competitive. But I'm going to lean towards the Ravens because the Ravens are at home in this game. I think they got more skill group on offense. I think they can really move the ball on the Bills and give the Bills defense issues. And they kind of have a great defense too. Even without Mike McDonald, I still think their defense can do a good job, like defending Josh Allen, making life difficult on them. And especially they got some corners who can man up against an underwhelming receiving core of Buffalo. So yeah, I think their defense can definitely win them this game here. But I think the Ravens can control the game, keep Josh Allen on the sidelines, and yeah. So I think the Ravens find a way to win that game. Week 5, they got to play against the Houston Texans. This is a game right here that can definitely go either way. Now, I have a feeling that this is a game where I think the Texans can definitely win. That the Bills can win. Some people could be pick the Bills to win because they could be a better team, but Stephon Diggs playing against his former team. So basically, I'm gonna roll with the Texans here because I think the Texans, I feel like Stephon Diggs and their other receivers like Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, those are going to be a challenge for the Bills defense. I feel like Stroud can have a big game. I mean, Texans have a great offensive line, especially they got Joe Mixon now. So I feel like, they can run the ball on them. And especially the Texans defense is pretty much underrated. I think their pass rush can definitely give, the Bills offense and Josh Allen a lot of issues because they can stop the run really well and they can stop the pass okay. I mean, they got great corners who can man up against an underwhelming receiving core of Buffalo. So yeah, I think the Texans, win this game at home. Then next game they got to play against the New York Jets on a Monday night. Obviously, this is a game right here in Week 1 last year where Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the third snap. But obviously, I go with the Jets here because the Jets are at home and they're the most talented team here. I think the Jets can definitely give the Bills offense issues, and they have definitely played the Bills offense really well. I mean, the defense can definitely match up well with the Bills, especially, they have a great pass rush. Like I said, the Jets have a great pass rush. They can get after Allen. They can stop the run really well. Their secondary is strong. They can cover, especially without Stephon Diggs. I feel like they can get sticky against an unwhelming receiving core. And the Jets got some weapons on offense too. I think Aaron Rodgers will have a good game, and the Jets got more skill group on offense too. So yeah, and I feel like their offensive line did improve enough to at least like play well against this Bills defensive line that can put the Bills defense in a bad position. So yeah, I think the Jets, can win that game for sure. So now the Bills are 2-4. So things is not looking good for Buffalo. What's going on with Buffalo? Who's their go-to guy, wide receiver? What's going on with the defense? What's going on with the coaching? Like, who knows? I mean, it's not looking good for Buffalo. Then week 7, they have to play against Tennessee, which I think they'll get back on track. Coming off 3 straight losses. So I feel like Buffalo's the better team, the better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home. Titans are going to be dealing. There could be a sneaky team. They could surprise some people, but they're going to be dealing with learning curves because they have a new coach. It's going to be a new culture in Tennessee. What is Will Levis going to look like, despite the improvements they made on both sides of the ball. But the Titans have played the Bills really well in recent seasons, which I think their defense can definitely give the Bills offense a tough time. But I think the Bills defense will give the young quarterback Will Levis a tough time because they got good corners. They can man up against the Titans receivers. Their pass rush can do enough to like stop the run and give the Titans offense some issues. Like they can find a way to slow down Tony Pollard and all that. So yeah. So I think the Bills, Josh Allen's going to go Superman this game a little bit because I kind of remember a couple years ago where the Bills blew them out. So yeah, I think they can do it again here. Then week 8, they got to play against the Seahawks. Obviously, this is a tricky game. The game's in Seattle. Now, it could go either way because I think Seattle's a sneaky good team. They got good corners, good receivers, a great offensive line, a great defensive line. They got a new coach in Mike McDonald. Geno Smith, a pretty good quarterback, by the way. So, yeah. Now, Mike McDonald has definitely played really well against this Bills offense. His scheme can, do the same thing in Seattle where he can definitely confuse the Bills offense. So, yeah, maybe Seattle, can give the Bills issues on defense and on offense, which I can see it happening, though. But at the same time, East Coast or West Coast is kind of a tricky place, and we know Seattle's kind of tough to play at. But I'm leaning Buffalo because I think Buffalo's just a more complete team and have the better quarterback and have better coaching as well. And I think Josh Allen feel like the Bills can do enough to control the game to keep Geno on the sidelines and all that. And I think the because I feel like Seattle, can do the same thing. Like if they control the game to keep Allen on the field, then I think Seattle can win. But I think the Bills, win this game because I think the Bills' offense is going to be a challenge here. I think Josh Allen is going to be a challenge, and I think the defense can do enough to at least shut down the Seahawks offense, slow down the running game, slow down the receivers in the secondary. I think they can man up really well. And I don't think the Seahawks have much of a pass rush to get out there, Allen. So maybe the Bills can run the ball on them because I think their offensive line can give Josh Allen a lot of time. So yeah, I think the Bills, win this game because I just don't feel like they're gonna at least lose 3 out of 4. So yeah, so 4-4. So they're back to 500. Then they got Dolphins again. Obviously, they should split with the Dolphins because Buffalo always beats the Dolphins because they pretty much own the Dolphins because Bills got the better quarterback. They're at home, better coaching. They're a more complete team. Yeah, that's why. Especially they really play well against the Dolphins. Like they do a good job, like giving the Dolphins offense issues, not allowing big plays. Like they do a good job of that. And I feel like their offense can move the ball on the Dolphins as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much why I think the Bills will win the second game. The next game they got to play against the Colts. This is a tricky game. This is a game right here that the Bills could lose to because the Colts have definitely played the Bills really well in the regular season, like almost every year. But the Bills beat them in the playoffs though, like 3 or 4 years ago, I believe. So yeah. So obviously this is a game I think the Colts can win because, they're a physical team. They got great receivers, a good offensive line, a good defensive line, but their secondary is kind of sketchy, but they got a really good coaching. But this is a game I think the Colts could definitely win. But I have feeling the Bills do a really good job, like between the Lamar Jacksons and the Anthony Richardson. Well, I don't know what Anthony Richardson's gonna look like because he's coming off an injury. So I'm gonna lean. I think it's gonna be very close. Indy can pull off an upset, but I'm gonna lean towards Buffalo. I think Buffalo's just a more complete team, better quarterback, better coaching staff, and I just have a feeling that a Gus Bradley defense, like when you're playing against Gus Bradley defense, he's just relying on zone coverages. That's what he's just relying on. Like, the Colts don't have a great secondary. And, I feel like Josh Allen, can take advantage of that. Even though he doesn't have good weapons around him, he can take advantage of that. Because, the Bills, can run the ball on them, especially the defense can give the Colts offense in that run game some issues. And their secondary is pretty much better than the Colts, which I think their corners can find a way to like cover Michael Pittman and the other guys. So yeah, I think it should be a close game. It could be a shootout, but I think the Bills find a way to win this game because I know the Colts are in Dome. I know it's at home, but the Bills are just gonna win because they're just a better team and have the edge here. The next game, Week 11, they got to play against the Chiefs. This is a rematch from the playoffs. So obviously, this game right here can definitely go either way. Now, most people could be picking on the Chiefs to win because the Chiefs, are kind of a better version of the Bills, and they pretty much own the Bills. But at the same time, the Bills have definitely played the Chiefs really well in the playoff. I mean, in the regular season for 2 seasons, and also they also play them well in the playoffs. But they've lost because their kicker missed a field goal. But I think they were just relying on Stephon Diggs a lot. But I don't know how it's gonna go without Stephon Diggs. But I'm gonna give the Bills a win. I think they're gonna get revenge because of what happened in the playoffs and all that. And I think their defense can do a good job slowing down the Chiefs' offense, make life difficult on Mahomes. Even though he's good against a blitz and all that, so he's good against pressure. So yeah, and especially the Bills got a really great secondary that can man up against the Chiefs receivers and all that. And they did a really good job, covering Kelsey and all that. So yeah, I think they can do that. And I feel like without L'Jarius Sneed, I feel like Josh Allen can take advantage of that, especially against a young secondary in the Chiefs. So yeah. So I think it's gonna be closer than we expected, but I think the Bills find a way to win that game at home. So basically, they're on a 5-game winning streak. It's looking pretty good right away. So they're 7-4 on a 5-game winning streak. They're going on a bye week. After the bye week, I think they got a week to prepare because they have to play at home against the 49ers and the Rams. Those are all West Coast teams. But I have a feeling they're gonna at least win one of these games or lose one of these games. I'm not sure because some people are going to be picking the Niners to win because the Niners are a better team. Some people could be picking the Bills to win because the Bills are a better team and the Rams don't got Aaron Donald anymore. But I'm probably going to come back to both of these. I'm probably going to skip the other game because they got to play at least 2-3 teams to make the playoffs. But they play the Lions after that, which I think they'll lose this game to the Lions because the Lions are a dome team. They're at home in this game. And I think Jared Goff's going to have a good game here. And especially, I think the Lions are kind of a better team overall. They have, and especially, they have the corners, to man up against another one receiving core of Buffalo. And I think they can stop the run really good. They can give the Bills offense issue, make life difficult on Josh Allen. And they have a strong offensive line, which they can run the ball on them a little bit. They kind of got more skill group on offense as well. So yeah, I kind of remember this game from like 2 years ago on Thanksgiving where the Bills kind of barely beat them by a field goal. So yeah, I think the Bills, maybe they can give the Lions issues, but I think the Lions are going to find a way to win that game at home. Then week 16, they got to play the Patrons, and they got to play the Patrons week 18. So it's back to back on against the Patrons. So I'm gonna say the Bills are gonna win both games against the Patrons. I mean, I just have a feeling that the Bills are just a better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home in this game, and I know the Patrons are at home, but I understand the Patrons, beat the Bills once. That's when they won by a touchdown. But I have a feeling the Bills are going to sweep them because the Patrons are going to be doing learning curves because they're going to have a new coach and a new quarterback in Drake May, and it's going to be a new culture in New England, a lot of new stuff. And, they're not going to have much to play for because I don't think New England's going to make the playoffs this year. And I feel like Buffalo's could be locking up for a wild card spot. So, yeah, that's pretty much why I think the Bills will sweep the Patriots. Then they got to play against the Jets week 17. I'm going to give them a win against the Jets. They split with them because, they always play the Jets pretty hard and all that. So, yeah. And they're at home in this game. So, yeah. So, basically, they're sitting at 10-5. So I'm gonna say the Bills are gonna at least like win one and lose one. So basically, I'm gonna say that West Coast to East Coast is a tough trip. The Niners sometimes travel well, but I don't really know. Depending on the weather, it's gonna be in Buffalo. But if the weather gets cold, I'll probably take Buffalo. But if it doesn't, maybe I'll take the Niners. I'm just gonna and in the Rams is kind of tough though. They don't got Aaron Donald, but the defense could make me look not maybe be the same, but they got some young players on there on the defense who can play. They did upgrade their secondary, and they got some weapons on offense that can really give the Bills defense some issues. So I'm gonna say the Bills are gonna beat the Niners at home, and I'm gonna say they lose to the Rams on the road. The reason why I got the Bills beating the Niners at home is because, West Coast to East Coast is kind of a tough place to play, and especially the games at home in Buffalo. And Josh Allen, has played the Bills, for the last two seasons have played really well against his Niners team. And, I kind of remember a couple years ago, the Bills, did a good job moving the ball against the Niners defense. And I think they can definitely do it again. But here's a problem. I think the Niners defense can definitely give the Josh Allen, the Bills offense a lot of trouble because the Niners have a fast defense and they have a strong offensive line, but they can definitely move the ball on them a little bit. But I think the defense. But I have a feeling that their offense can give the Bills defense problems. But I have a feeling that Josh Allen's going to have a good game here. I think they can control the game. They can keep Brock Purdy off the sidelines. And I think the Bills, can find a way to pull this one off. But I think the Niners are a better team from a talent standpoint. But I have a feeling that Josh Allen, is going to. I have a feeling that the Bills are going to control the game on offense and all that. So, yeah, I think the Bills are going to find a way to pull this one off. And the reason why I got them losing to the Rams on the road is because it's in LA. East Coast, East to West Coast is kind of a bad travel. It's kind of not a good travel. And LA is kind of a tough place to play at because I know LA is a dome team. They're a physical team. And I kind of remember from 2 years ago, the Bills have definitely blew them out because, the Bills really gave the Rams offense issues and they really figured out how to defend Matthew Stafford. And all of a sudden, their offense really moved the ball against their defense and all that. So I don't think the Rams defense will get exposed because I'm not worried about their front seven. I mean, as long as they can crowd the box, I feel like they can stop the run okay. So I feel like even without Aaron Donald, I think the Rams can do that. And they did upgrade the secondary a little bit, to at least like play sticky coverage against an underwhelming receiving core. And I feel like the Rams got more skill group on offense. So I feel like, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp is going to be a challenge for this Bills defense. So yeah, that's pretty much why I think the Rams will win. So obviously, I got the Bills going 11-6. I can see them going 12-5, 13-4. I can see them being as high as that, or maybe as low as 9-8. So if you look at their schedule, 4-2 in the division, 8-0 at home, 3-6 away, not bad. So when you look at their schedule, it's pretty tough though, because they have to play the Dolphins twice. They gotta play the Ravens, the Texans, the Jets twice, the Seahawks. They gotta play the Colts, the Chiefs, the Niners, the Rams, the Lions, and they play the Patriots twice, I believe. So basically, their schedule is. I mean, this is a tough schedule. So I think the Bills, can go somewhere from like 10-12 wins this year. 9-8 at worst will be their floor. 13-4 maybe at best. But I have questions. I have a feeling that I have questions about the Bills receiving core. I don't know who their go-to guy is going to be. Will Keon Coleman be that number one guy? Will Shakir will be that number one guy, or maybe Curtis Samuel or Chase Claypool, Vaughn Scanlon, who's going to be that number one guy, wide receiver? The tight ends are fine. The running back is fine. The O-line's okay. The defense, lost some pieces like Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, and a lot of those guys, but they still got young players who can play at a high level. But I do like their draft pick in Cole Bishop. I mean, he can win Defensive Player of the Year, so look out for him. The coaching is still the same. They brought back Joe Brady from the offense coordinator. Sean McDermott's still defense coordinator. Now the question is, are the Bills a better team without Stephon Diggs? Now that's the question. Are there a better team without Stephon Diggs? Are there not better team without Stephon Diggs? That's the question. So let me know in the comments section below what you guys think. I mean, do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Just let me know in the comments section below if you think the Bills are going to overcome without Stephon Diggs. This is Emmanuel Jones from Big Fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later in the next video. Peace.